Being an empath does not have to be overwhelming and draining and a negative thing. You can actually turn this off when it's not serving you and still take advantage of being able to be such an empathetic and understanding person. So first of all, why do people become empaths? The reason that you are an empath is because at some point in your life, you were in a very chaotic or stressful environment, or you were around very emotionally reactive people, and your body and brain learned that it was safer for you to pick up on the emotions of others and be really attuned to the emotions of others in order to keep you safe in your environment. And if you don't remember being in a stressful situation like this, it might have happened before you were the age of 5 or even when you were in your mother's womb, because that's when your nervous system is formed. But being an empath is actually your body's way of scanning for threats in the environment, and you learned that by being super aware of people's emotions and super in touch with that, it helped you in some way, and it's some type of survival or protection mechanism. So it actually does come from a place of trauma. And while I believe that being an empath can be a gift and that it's great to be so understanding and so empathetic, you don't need to be overwhelmed by other people's emotions and drained by other people's emotions. And I do believe as well that you have the gift of transmuting emotions, but I'm going to talk about that more in another video. This video is just going to be about how to manage this trait and how to turn it off if you want to. Predictability feels safe to us, and our bodies learn that if we can predict what's going to happen, we feel a lot safer. So your body tries to predict how other people are feeling by picking up on micro expressions and really small things so that you're able to tell what's going on in your environment. I mean, pretty much everyone has the ability to read people and to understand what emotions other people are feeling, but there's different levels to how intense this can be. And it's also your body's way of trying to control the situation. So if being an empath is a result of your body trying to protect itself, trying to scan for threats in the environment, then the way to manage this is to make your body feel safe and to protect it in other ways. This is also essentially nervous system regulation, which I'm going to make a whole video about. And so basically we have the parasympathetic nervous system and the sympathetic nervous system. And our sympathetic nervous system activates when we're in a state of stress. And this can look like fight or flight or a fawn or freeze response. And when the sympathetic nervous system activates, our blood pressure rises, our pupils dilate, digestion is slowed down, healing is slowed down, our bodies release adrenaline and cortisol, and it causes all of these different changes in your body that you're not meant to be living in this state all of the time. It's actually really bad for your health. But so many people are living in this state all of the time, but the goal is really to get your nervous system to regulate so that you're not constantly living in fight or flight mode. And the way that I like to think about this is that you need to do root, sacral, and solar plexus chakra healing. I like to work with the chakras because to me it's like a better version of the DSM-5. Like you can figure out what symptoms do I have and then determine which chakra you need to heal. And then through that you can find different activities and things to do in order to heal each chakra. It really just helps you understand what actions to take and what changes to make in order to heal certain mental illnesses or whatever experiences you're having that you want to get rid of. But basically you need to change your thoughts, your actions, and your beliefs in order to create a feeling of safety in your body. And so first I would recommend working with the root chakra, because the root chakra really deals with our sense of security, safety, feeling of belonging on the earth, feeling grounded and connected to nature. And pretty much every mental illness stems from the root chakra, especially phobias and fears and things like contamination, OCD. All of these things happen because we don't feel safe and we don't feel grounded. I'm gonna put in the description a free root chakra healing download, and that's gonna include a checklist of symptoms of a blocked root chakra, as well as affirmations for the root chakra, just more information on it, signs of a balanced root chakra, and then all sorts of activities that you can do in order to heal your root chakra. But basically you need to build trust with the universe, trust with your body, and create this feeling of safety in your body. And something that can really help with this is being in nature, as well as different types of movement, whether that's yoga, dancing, kickboxing, rock climbing is great, whatever it is that you feel compelled to do. And in the download there's going to be a list of a bunch of other stuff you can do as well. Another way to heal your root chakra and to feel safe in your body is to face your fears. So if you have a fear of being seen, what's a way that you can face that? Maybe you need to take baby steps, but how can you face that And then eventually you'll be showing yourself there's nothing to fear. If you have a fear of rejection, if you have a fear of abandonment, if you have a fear of judgment or criticism, what are ways that you can disprove these fears, or ways that you can face these fears and work through these fears? Because by facing them, you're going to take their power away, and they're not going to have power over your life anymore. They're not going to control your actions anymore, and the fears will dissipate, because really, fears become so much stronger and more powerful the more that we act on them and the more that we let them control how we're acting. So the more that you're able to face your fears and to overcome them, the more you're going to feel safer in your body. You want to align your thoughts and your beliefs with feeling safe as well. If you're a really negative and fearful person, it's okay, because we have neuroplasticity, and our brains can actually adapt and change extremely well. An extreme example of this is when someone loses a chunk of their brain will literally change to accommodate for what was lost. So, certain parts of our brain do certain things, but when you lose a chunk of your brain, it can literally rewire itself to still function properly. And every time you have a thought, you have a neural pathway that fires. And the more that your neural pathway fires, the stronger that thought becomes, and the more that you're going to have it, and it's going to be a habit to go back to that thought. But you can just as easily create new thoughts and strengthen those neural pathways in order to change the way that you think, in order to change your beliefs and start having positive self-talk and start having faith that everything's going to work out and feeling safer in your life. And I really do believe that our beliefs create our reality, and that whatever you believe is going to be reflected back to you. But even if you don't believe that, on a scientific level, we have something called a confirmation bias. So when we believe something, we are more likely to notice evidence that supports that belief and to notice the things that confirm our bias. So if you go out into the world and you're like, the world is against me, everything goes wrong for me, you're going to notice all the things that go wrong in your life. But if you can start to change your beliefs, you're going to start to notice all of the good things in your life and all of the good luck that you have and all of the things that didn't go wrong. I always believe that the universe is working in my favor, and even if I make a wrong turn and I end up running late somewhere, I think, maybe the universe was saving me from a car accident. And sometimes I later found out that I literally did avoid a 10-car accident or something like that. So you can always reframe any situation and see things in a more positive light, and you're literally going to retrain your brain, and it's going to become even more easy and natural to start thinking that way. Meditation is super helpful for changing your thoughts and beliefs, because you can practice creating these new neural pathways, and you can practice sitting in gratitude and being present and feeling safe. And it's okay if when you start meditation, you're having trouble focusing or you're having a bunch of negative, anxious thoughts. It's better to just be in silence and to become aware of what's going on in your head, because then you're able to change it. And just continue practicing, taking that time every day to be present and to meditate. I feel like so many people are just like, oh, I'm just bad at meditation, I can't do it. And that's okay. That doesn't mean that you should stop doing it. It's like if you went to the gym for the first time in years and you were like, oh, I'm so out of shape, I guess I'm just not meant to go to the gym. That's not how it works. You're going to the gym because you're trying to get in shape, and that's how meditation is. You're meditating because you're trying to have control over what you're thinking and feeling and believing, and it's not going to be easy right away. If you are around negative people, if you're around abusive people, if you're in bad situations, it's so important to balance that out with positivity. If you are being verbally abused for an hour every day, you should be listening to an hour of positive affirmations every day at least. And when I was in situations like that, it was so important for me to be controlling the media I was consuming and the things I was around, and trying to limit that negativity as much as possible and balance it out with positivity. And if you're in a situation like that, please know that you're never stuck in any situation. You can get out of any situation, and just decide that you are gonna get out of this situation. You're gonna be in a healthier living situation. You're gonna get away from these toxic people and take action towards that, and just make that your number one priority and decide that it's gonna happen. You feel everyone's emotions because your body doesn't feel safe and it doesn't feel protected. So a way to stop being overwhelmed and drained by feeling everyone's emotions is to start protecting yourself and setting healthy boundaries and enforcing boundaries, putting your needs first and having respect for yourself, not just being a people pleaser, not being a doormat. This really has to do with the solar plexus chakra, which is associated with confidence and setting boundaries and standing in your personal power. Something that's going to help you take the right action is building up your confidence, but in the meantime, just act in a confident way and act out of self-love and self-respect and set boundaries and put yourself first always. I used to spend hours talking to friends who were in abusive relationships, trying to help them, trying to get them to leave the relationship. Like literally there were times in my life I spent like 7 hours a day like trying to talk a friend into not getting back with her narcissistic ex because I literally felt her pain and I was so emotionally drained. But now I realize it was literally a mirror of me. Like I was telling someone to put themselves first and put their needs first and have respect for themselves when I literally was not doing the same. I was just trying to help this person and putting my own needs aside, and I was literally a reflection of them. And the best thing that you can actually do for people is to be an example of how they should act. You really can't help people that aren't ready to be helped and aren't going to help themselves, and it's not worth wasting your time doing that. And honestly, probably no one even asked you to do that. And actually the best thing that you can do for everyone is fill up your own cup and put your needs first and put yourself first and be confident and set healthy boundaries. And you're gonna be an example of how everyone should act. And that's actually gonna be more effective than you trying to convince people to do things and you trying to help people through difficult situations. Obviously, it's good to be empathetic, it's good to be there for people. But if you're watching this video and if you're an empath, you're probably overdoing it a lot. So just be able to recognize when it gets to a point where you're like, I'm starting to get annoyed, I'm starting to get irritated, I'm starting to feel really emotionally drained and overwhelmed. And recognize when it's becoming too much and when you're setting aside your own needs. And that's when you need to stop helping people, is when you are putting aside your own needs and desires. When you start to have respect for yourself and set healthy boundaries, your body is going to be like, okay, I feel protected and safer now, so I can stop taking in all this information and taking in all these emotions from other people. And I can stop scanning for all these threats in the environment. So that's why that helps create a feeling of safety. I recently saw this video that was like, you feel anxiety if you're not feeling enough anger, because anger actually requires some level of self-respect and self-worth, and it wants you to take action because you feel like your standards or boundaries have been violated, so you're angry. And I used to never feel anger. I would always just feel guilt or shame or sadness. And if someone wronged me or hurt me, I would internalize it and think, oh, something's just wrong with me and this is my fault. But anger is actually the highest vibrational negative emotion because it does require some sort of self-worth and self-respect, and it asks that you take action to set healthy boundaries. You also want to stop repressing your emotions, because when you repress emotions, your body actually interprets that as a form of stress. I just came out with a processing emotions workbook that's to help you work through emotions and actually be present with them and not try to distract yourself and repress them. And it also includes like a chart of how to transmute different emotions, and then goes more in depth about how to transmute each emotion. It has a list of cognitive distortions so you can recognize those, and ways to release emotions, and more information on all of that stuff. So if you want to get that, it's on Amazon, or you can get the ebook for $5 on my website. And then the last thing that I like to do is protection visualizations. So I'll visualize like an orb around me that is repelling all negative energy, that's blocking everything bad out, blocking other people's emotions out. Or I'll visualize my body being filled with white light that repels everything bad and that protects me. If I feel like I'm having random physical symptoms or random emotions that I feel like maybe aren't my own, I'll say the affirmation, I release all thoughts and feelings that are not my own. And I think that's a really good tool, especially as you're working on all of this stuff and working on healing all your different chakras and stuff. You can always just go back to that, and that'll help you out in the meantime. Thanks so much for watching. I hope this video helped you out, and hopefully I'll see you in my next video.